I see somebody just tried the regular conference line that we use.
Oh,
so
okay.
somebody,
Do you want to?
so,
Hi,
and
this is Mary Frances. I just called in. Hi, it's Mary Frances.
Hi.
Hi, this is
Okay.
Peggy.
Oh,
Hello.
Peggy, hi. Yay.
Yeah. I'm unfortunately going to have to sign off at 12:30. I have a doctor's appointment, but
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're here, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 board members with us. I think we can start, and hopefully Andrea will join us. So I don't know if anyone I think everyone on the call knows I'm Janice McDermott I'm the Executive Director for NHHPCO, and this presentation that you're going to see is something that was created by the task force that is looking at the joining of the Home Care Association and NHHPCO. So this has been already presented to both of our boards, as well as the task force. And Andrea Patrick Baudet, our board president, should be joining to help with this conversation. But as we know, there are many people here that can join in and help as well. Are there any questions right up front that you want to make sure get answered while we're on the call?
I apologize, this is Andrew Riley. Do we have access to, I just dialed in using my phone. I didn't know do we have access to something on the web?
Right, if you click the link that I sent out, you would be able to see the PowerPoint presentation that we're going to go through.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, there's also a handout that's I think already posted on our website that will summarize all of what we see in these slides. So we will get started. So we are moving forward together. This is a really good message, I think, for everybody to understand that the Home Care Association and the New Hampshire Hospice and Palliative Care Organization have been talking for several months now about how to come together and create a new organization that will encompass all of the people that we represent in both of our organizations. Now, why isn't my slide advancing? Is Leslie there? We even practiced.
I am here. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. I don't. Okay, hold on here. Sorry.
Technical difficulties.
Did it come back?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Well, but waiting for name has arrived. Oh, but when I push advance, I'm not getting anything.
Okay.
There we go. You're doing it, not me.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'm still pushing the arrow. There we go. So let me try that again. Am I doing it or are you doing
it? It says you have control, but
well, I don't think I do.
Okay.
So as the steps that we've taken towards the merger of our organizations, we started with board conversations last summer, even last spring, to see if this was something that both organizations were open to, wanted to explore, and both absolutely were very positive and wanting to look at this option right from the beginning. So then we moved forward with hiring a consultant, and we did a membership survey that all of you should have received late last summer to see how our members felt about the two organizations coming together. I'm getting some noise if somebody needs to mute. So a task force was established and committees were created within that so that we could address the mission and the new name. So this is, again, very good news that we're looking at creating a combined organization with a new name, a new mission, that will update the bylaws, retain the essence of our organization. We have a subgroup looking at due diligence to make sure all our business practices and policies are in order. We've looked at dues. There is now a memorandum of understanding that has been drafted, and it's right now in legal review, so we will be formalizing and finalizing that in the coming weeks. And a communication plan so that our members, so that all of you know what's happening, and that's what we're doing today. So that's the purpose of this presentation. And the end of the story the end of the story will be creating the new organization. But the end of this process on the road to merger will be members voting from both organizations at our joint annual meeting on June 22nd. And we've had that pattern for several years now, where we combined the Home Care Association annual meeting with the NHHPCO annual meeting. And it's been, I think, really beneficial to both groups and helped us highlight the work we do that's similar and different and bring all the people together from both organizations for networking. So as a result of the membership survey that went out, you can see on this slide that there was a high positive response rate from those who answered us. So 5 being the highest rating, you can see that the total participants that people rated the idea of us coming together at 4.11, and that was, and the people who belong to both organizations currently rated at 4.69, so lots of support. And the people who belong to one organization but not the other thought it was a good idea. They came in at almost 4%. So we were very pleased with those results. So that put us definitely on the road to merger. It felt like something that our members were telling us to do. So there was no more question about it. It became a how do we get there? So the task force was created, as I said, and it was equal membership from both boards. And I'm trying to advance the slides again. Oh, there we go. So from the Home Care Association, you see Sandy Ruka, Jim Culhane, David Emberley, Rick Peterson, Beth Slepian, and Gina Balkas. And from NHHPCO, Andrea Patrick Baudet, Peg Gilmore, Bruce Mass, Don McDonough, Dimitri Panakopoulos, me, and Joan Hull is our hired merger consultant. So we talked a lot about, yes.
I apologize, it's Andrea. I just wanted to let you know I just joined the call and I'm very sorry for being late to everyone.
Hey, would you like to take on a couple of these slides, or would you like me to keep going?
No, I'm happy. You want me to talk a little bit about the one you're on now?
Sure.
Yep, sure. So, and again, I sprung a leak in my office, and that's why I was late.
Oh my goodness.
So if you're dripping in the background, I apologize. So in starting this process, it was really important when we came together that we talked about our common goal, and that is preserving the essence of both organizations. So really crafting a mission that speaks to all members, regardless of the type of organization, seating a board that really represents the wide array of providers, and not, ignoring a particular kind of provider, that all the work that we do is important, honoring the unique cultures within home care, hospice, and palliative care. So being able to have expertise that speaks to what is so central to the mission of hospice, as an example, or to palliative care, which might, be different from home care. Continuing the programs that our members really said were very important to them. So like our peer groups, like our fall conference, those came out really clearly in our survey that was really important that it continue. The advocacy for good quality end-of-life care that Janice devotes so much of her time to, and eliminating silos among members. So one of the assertions that I made very quickly, as part of this process is, hospice really has worked hard to have a seat at the table. We are important and our voice is important. And so the metaphor for me was really that we want to be at the seat, have a seat at the table with all the providers that serve our communities, and continuing to talk about the importance of what we do, rather than remaining a separate organization, that we want to be part of the bigger whole, and not be working within our own silo.
New name. Here it is. Home Care, Hospice, and Palliative Care Alliance of New Hampshire. Go ahead, Andrea.
Oh, no, I had lost my screen. Sorry, I got a little lost there for a moment. Yep.
So I just want to let everyone know that we struggled over the new name, and it is a mouthful, but we feel strongly that we should be clear about who we are and encompass all of the facets of who we represent for identity, but also for people trying to find us on the website, that we will be easy to find as part of the goal. And I really like the word alliance in here, so that too speaks to the tone of all this and the intent. And there will be a new logo that will be designed. That probably won't happen by June, but we hope to have something later in the year or early next year. New mission statement. Can you see that, Andrea?
I can. And, one of the things that I think was really an aha moment for us as we looked to craft the new mission statement is that there was a lot of overlap. We shared a lot of really common ideas and philosophies in each of the mission statements of the two separate organizations. So I would say this was one of the easier pieces of work that we did in combining the mission statements into something that felt comprehensive. So our mission statement is to, did I just do that? Sorry, I didn't realize I had control.
No, I don't. Okay, go ahead.
To support providers who are committed to delivering high-quality health services to individuals and families, primarily in their places of residence, to promote, maintain, or restore health and well-being, and minimize the effects of illness and/or disability from birth through end of life. The Alliance achieves this through education, advocacy, networking, collaboration, and community engagement. And the community engagement piece in particular was something we felt important to include because a large part of what we do at NHHPCO now is around that piece, particularly, as well as certainly the networking and other pieces that were already in the mission statement.
So I want to stop for a minute. Those of you that are hearing this mission statement for the first time, if you want to unmute yourself, are there any reactions to it? How does it strike you? Okay. Hearing no comment, we'll move to the next. So Leslie needs to move this forward, I think. My control is not working.
Yeah, it was Andrea in control, but I'll yeah, there you go.
Hey,
We're like sharing
Okay.
control, Andrea.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Oh, good thing I'm a good sharer.
Yeah, you sure are.
So in looking at what we chose to do in crafting our new bylaws is we utilized as a skeleton the existing home care association bylaws and are making amendments to those. The reason for that really was that their bylaws were had some pieces in there that were lacking in ours, we felt, as we moved forward into the merged organization. They had a really nice structure. But the important pieces that we wanted to pull out and talk about on this call in the bylaws amendments, the board of directors of the new organization is expanding from 11 to 15 seats. Certainly, much like we have always done in our current board structure for NHHPCO, the goal is to represent the nature, discipline, size, geography of all the membership. So looking always when there are open board seats to see where there would be a good fit for perhaps an underrepresented discipline or organizational size, that's a really important piece that both organizations have always done, so that will continue. The amendment also, there is also an amendment that says no less than 60% shall be CEOs or administrators, and it's the administrators piece that got added. So that was something we discussed at length between our task force members around the fact that many of our board members on the NHHPCO current board are administrators on the hospice license. So that is the definition that exists around what does an administrator mean. Because the current board structure on the Home Care Association says that no less than 60% of board membership shall be CEOs. So we actually added that additional category to make sure that we would continue to have good representation from hospice administrators, hospice directors, and the like. Creating new membership categories. So these are mostly similar to the structure that we also had, perhaps named a little differently. So home care and hospice agencies, palliative care programs and practices, affiliate members and individual members. And then I can't, sorry, hang on one second. I can't see the full screen of the administrative changes.
Right. I can't either. And the slides that I copied, that's as far as it. You've covered what was on the slide.
Oh,
there
okay.
You go.
Thank you very much. We just talked about this the other day, and I already couldn't remember what was on the slide. So the administrative changes, again, we addressed things like what the terms look like. We did add a provision for electronic voting, which many board structures do now based on, the availability of email to collect votes rather than requiring in-person voting for board votes. An ex officio seat for the CEO, those sorts of things. So we really, soup to nuts, I guess that's my message, looked at all the pieces of the bylaws to make sure that both organizations were comfortable with making sure there was good representation and reasonable term limits, as well as the number of board seats for the new organization. So in the newly merged organization, our board of directors, after the merge, 9 current home care association board members will be on the newly merged organization's board, as well as 6 members from our current NHHPCO board. Both myself and Sandy Ruka, who's the current president of the Home Care Association's board, will continue to serve 1 more year on the executive committee of the new organization. Our thought process there was that Sandy and I can be tasked with making sure that we are continuing not only having a merged organization, but a merged culture, and that we are moving the organization towards an us and a we, and away from a NHHPCO and Home Care Association, us and them kind of mentality. So I will remain on the board for 1 additional year after the merger. We did staggered terms of all of the seats that are coming over from the 2 current organizations, so that over the next 3 years, there will be a variety of board seats opening in years 1, 2, and 3. So that again, as we move towards this merged organization culture, that we can continue to fill those board seats, keeping in mind the mission of the new organization and that membership, representing all of our membership for all of our different kinds of programs. Officers will be elected for a 1-year renewable term. And so on the right, you can see the staff of the new organization. And Gina Balkus will remain the CEO. Janice will be the Director of Hospice and Palliative Care, which was really, really important to us, and I imagine important to all of you. Leslie, thank you, Leslie, who is tasked with education and communications, and also making sure I don't advance the slide in the wrong place. And Stacy Brown is the office manager. So that will be the staff of the new organization. Oh, Janice, you get to talk about due diligence.
Well, this is pretty straightforward. So we have 2 task force members, one from each of our organizations, who had the daunting task of looking at all of the formal papers, all the formal policies and financials, and anything that is part of our legal structure for both organizations, and whether we've been audited recently, and how secure we are. It was, that's the purpose of due diligence, is to see if there's any risk on either side, and all is well. There are no issues. Both organizations are very lean. You can see there's a big difference in assets, liabilities, but we both operate on the positive side and have been stable. So there are very few efficiencies to be gained from joining, because we are both lean organizations. But everything has checked out, so there are no risks to this, combining our organizations that we have found. Dues impact.
I can talk about that one.
Okay.
In 2018, dues for members of either organization will remain the same for the rest of this year. And so we recognized also that as we roll into being one organization, that we would have some members that have traditionally only joined NHHPCO, and some members that have traditionally only joined the Home Care Association. And we made the determination for that the remainder of 2018, all members will be members of the merged organization, regardless of what, whether they had joined one or both organizations for 2018. So we really thought about wanting to make sure that we didn't leave anyone out in this process. So if you are a current member of NHHPCO in 2018, you will be a member of the new organization through the end of the year. There will be a change in the dues structure beginning in 2019. You know, for NHHPCO membership, we have traditionally paid our dues based on census. The Home Care Association has paid dues based on revenue, and so that is the model that we have agreed upon from both organizations moving forward, with a fee-based membership dues for palliative care units, practices, as well as for affiliate and individual members. You will see that for 2019, this really will begin some dues increases that look somewhat significant. I will say that one of the things that we discovered as part of our due diligence process and looking at the new dues structure was that NHHPCO specifically has long attempted to avoid dues increases, have done it, I think the last one was about 3 years ago. Is that correct, Janice?
Yeah, probably 3 or 4.
Yeah, and the Home Care Association similarly, in looking at similar organizations across the country, that their dues have been lower than other similar organizations. So we felt that we were, as much as it is an increase for many members, you know, there will be some that will be mitigated for some agencies if they were paying dues to both organizations already. I think they will not feel so much of an impact. But we also, again, our goal is a sustainable, stronger organization with better resources for education and advocacy. And so this dues structure was one important piece of ensuring that all of those things could continue. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, Janice.
Well, I just think it was interesting that we found out for both the Home Care Association and NHHPCO that when we looked, you mentioned other states, and when we looked at that, we were on the low side in both organizations in terms of our fees. Yeah.
Yep. So just trying to be more aligned with what's reasonable and customary for state associations, while also being mindful that we all have budgets we have to be concerned about. Yep.
Correct.
In our agencies.
Memorandum of Understanding.
Yeah, so the Memorandum of Understanding has been also a very important piece of this process as we have gone along, and working with our consultant to make sure that everything that we feel is important to have in the agreement is there. I want to say 2 things about that. The first one is I think we really have done that, and the second is that it has been a really positive process. There has been, I think, a lot of collaboration and compromise on the part of both organizations so that we all feel good about what we have. But an MOU, for anyone who's not aware of, you know, this really encapsulates all the things that are on the screen. So governance, management, programs, operations. So thinking about things like, you know, I would say specifically about Janice's position, things about ensuring that the NHHPCO Fall Conference continues, ensuring that our networking groups continue, so that we are all on the same page and clear when we vote that everyone is everything that we needed in that documentation about what the new organization will look like is there. So the MOU will be a consensus document approved by both boards of directors, and regarding all of those kinds of facets that I mentioned. So you will see, in terms of where we're at with the procedural steps towards the merger, I will say that throughout this process, as our task force groups have been meeting, we have continued to bring back communication about drafts of the MOU, drafts of due structures, drafts of things like the mission statement and the name. We have continued in both organizations to bring updates back to our respective boards so that we are talking through anything that we feel needs clarification or that folks have questions about. So I can say that feels like everyone is on board at this juncture with where we are. So at this point, our board will meet in May again, and at that time we will vote to approve the MOU and towards a merger, contingent on the membership vote that will happen at the June 22nd annual meeting. So if you see the two votes that each membership will vote on at the annual meeting is slightly different. And so, the membership of the Home Care Association will vote to amend their bylaws to be the new bylaws that we have crafted, that they will vote to approve the new board slate as it is existing with the 9 current Home Care Association members and adding our 6 NHHPCO members. And that vote, of course, will be contingent on the NHHPCO membership vote. And our vote will be a membership vote to dissolve the corporation, contingent on, obviously, the Home Care Association vote also moving forward. So the important piece, I think, for NHHPCO members that is somewhat different than what we have done in years past, any of you that have been the voting entity for your organization, or if you're an individual member and have voted, we have traditionally allowed members to either fax in a vote, and not be present at the meeting. From a procedural standpoint, anyone who wants to exercise their right to vote towards this merger must be present at the meeting on June 22nd. So we are really strongly encouraging our membership to please put the June 22nd annual meeting on your calendars and come and vote. And in order to approve this merger, both current organizations must approve their votes by 2/3 of members present. So it is not a simple majority. It must be at least 2/3 of our members that are in the room. So we really, I guess I would say, this slide I think is really important for us. So we are joining together to proactively plan for the future. We feel very strongly that together, joining our voices, we will have greater influence, enhance our resources for integrated education, and create a stronger and more sustainable organization to support all members. I do feel really strongly that we will be much better going forward together in the future, have more value for our stakeholders, be able to offer more programs. It's from a philosophical standpoint, this was the right thing to do. So folks that are on the call, again, I think, I would ask if you have any questions or concerns. We would really welcome hearing them from you. We have opportunity to do that now if folks are feeling inclined to speak up. We certainly have the time. Otherwise, you can see on the slide that either Janice or myself are the contact people for questions of concerns primarily, although you certainly could reach out to any member of the task force or to Gina or Sandy from the Home Care Association. But our mission at this point really is to make sure that our membership gets their questions answered well ahead of that June 22nd meeting.
This is Martha. Martha Teka. I have been driving and therefore not talking in response. Sorry about the big silence, but I just want to say I think you guys have done just a terrific job of this. I obviously have not been engaged as a board member central to the conversations, but I think you've done just a great job. And Janice and I had a chance. Janice gave me a little bit of an update as well. So thank you for the work that you've done. It looks great.
Well, thanks, Martha.
Hi, this is Andrew Riles. Some of you know me. I represented the Home Care Association and when I was on my own, and now I'm with Shane Finney. And Gina Balkus approached us to represent the merger, if you will, the merged entity. So I just want to say I think there's so much legwork and groundwork has been done. It's quite impressive. So I don't think we're going to have any trouble efficiently getting a merger document, a formal merger document together. Once we get the MOU and the final MOU and go forth, we can go forth from there. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thanks, Andrew. Wow, I didn't know I was going to be hearing your voice again so soon.
Take it away from me, perhaps.
I know. But I think, it is really important to point out that I have been completely impressed and amazed since we began this process well over a year ago now at the level of dedication and interest from all parties in coming to, if we were going to come to an agreement, which clearly we have, that it was for the right reasons and addressing everyone's concerns and interests as best as we possibly could. I have been really blown away at the level of collaboration and as I said earlier, compromise that we've done on both sides to accomplish this in a way that really feels good to everybody. It's been a really affirming process for me personally, and I think for the members of our board as well.
Yeah, I agree. The engagement of the task force members and the board has been really wonderful to see people working together for all the right reasons. Really good news.
And I think the thing that we all feel really good about, for sure, is knowing that Janice is going to be there and making sure that all of the work that she has done for years around collaboration and access to quality care and having a seat at the table to talk about hospice and what's important about hospice and palliative care, was really important to us that continue. And so we're very pleased that she will be with us in the newly merged organization. I think that's important for all of you to hear around how we felt that was important to ensure that the mission of NHHPCO moves forward into this new organization. Any other questions or concerns? This is your time.
If anyone doesn't have a voice ability on their computer, not a microphone or phone capability where you're at, there is a chat box if you have your keyboard, and I can pass questions on to Andrea or Janice, or I think you guys can see the chat panel as well. I did, in your chat panel, I sent everybody the link to the NHHPCO website that has the handout regarding this presentation. It's truly just the same information from the presentation. It just fits on 2 pages, sort of.
And it looks wonderful. Leslie created it, and we thank her for
I don't know what that feedback is. Yeah, that's somebody's phone not on mute. That's okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if there are not questions, right this minute, again, please, please, please reach out to one of us if we can clarify anything, or if there is a concern that we need to bring back. We have some time to do that. We want to make sure our membership is heard. And so, again, I think overwhelmingly the message we've heard to date has been very positive. So I think, like Andrew said, I don't expect big problems at this point, because we have been very intentionally transparent. But it is important that we hear from you if there's a concern, and otherwise we are very much, I think, now beginning to turn our attention towards planning for the annual meeting, and planning to feel very celebratory when we can be a merged organization.
So we hope we'll see all of you, or most of you, on June 22nd.
Thank you.
Shall we close out the webinar?
We certainly can.
Nice job.
Thank you, Colleen.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
And
you
again,
all
I'm sorry I was late. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Good luck fixing the leak.
Oh, thank you.